Hui. I'm a lecturer. Accounting and finance are not just about technical numbers. They are directly related to our decisions in our daily life, so it's more interesting than you expected before. So accounting and finance can record information, and the information can help you make better decisions. Hi everyone, welcome to the mini lecture of the MSc program in Accounting and Finance. So I'm very delighted to talk to you today as you will start your journey with us. And over the next few minutes, I will show you a very simple idea how accounting and finance can help us make better decisions. This is directly related to why you choose your MSc program in Accounting and Finance and why you start your journey with us at Bristol. So in this lecture, I will show that accounting and finance are not just about technical numbers. They are related to the decisions, important decisions in both business and our everyday life. So before we begin, let me show you the following scenario. Suppose you are running a business and you have to make choices and decisions every day. The decisions can include whether to hire new employees, whether to expand your operations into new areas such as new industries or new products, or whether to invest in new facilities and equipment. Every such choices or decisions will have its own financial consequences. Some decisions may cost thousands of pounds, while others may generate profits or create unexpected losses. And this will raise a very natural, very important question. How can we make these decisions, and would you rely only on intuition or random feelings to make these decisions? The answer may be no, because most of us would be hesitant to make decisions fully based on our random feelings. And these decisions will have substantial financial consequences. Decisions that appear to be intuitive or obvious at first glance may become much more complicated when we look at them closely. So here, that's exactly why accounting and finance may matter. And we have to learn accounting and finance because they can help us make better decisions based on structured and meaningful information instead of fully based on our random feelings. So let me start with the other simple question. Why are decisions difficult to be made, and how accounting and finance can help with this situation? Basically, we are facing three challenges in making decisions. First one, we may have incomplete information when making decisions. In real life, we rarely see the full picture when making decisions. We can only make those decisions based on part of the information, part of the data. Secondly, even if we have the information, we may have some misunderstandings. For example, we may assume that high revenue will generate high profits, but this is not always the case. If we have higher revenue, but we have much higher costs, and when the increase in costs outweigh the increase of the revenue, we may have lower profits. And this is the case when a business can look successful but still lose money. And the last point is that the future is uncertain. We cannot predict the future completely. We don't know exactly what will happen tomorrow. And taking all of this together, we have challenges, we have difficulties in making decisions, and accounting and finance can help us navigate through these challenges. Specifically, accounting helps us understand the present, and finance helps us think about the future. So to disentangle these two perspectives, specifically accounting will provide insights on what is happening right now, what is profitable, and what costs can matter for the company's profit patterns. And finance focuses more on the future. For example, what risks do we face? what trade-offs exist and what choices are best over time. Together, they will give us a full foundation for better decisions to be made. And this is the overall picture on accounting and finance, on the role of accounting and finance in the business and everyday life, and how these two subjects may shape our decisions in our life. So let's use two examples to show that how accounting and finance can shape our decisions respectively. Let's start with the accounting perspective. So accounting provides insights on the costs, profits, and everything behind the scenarios, behind the appearances. So let's start with the example of a coffee shop. Suppose there is a coffee shop and where you are passing by every day. The coffee shop is very busy in the morning. Customers coming in and out. There are always long queues outside. And the owner of the coffee shop is considering to extend the opening hours until the evening. This shop was open only in the mornings and afternoons before, but now the owner is considering extending the open hours. At first glance, the decision seems to be obvious and intuitive because we want more profits, and if we open longer hours we have higher revenue, and this can be translated into profit. But this is an intuitive feeling, so accounting encourages us to slow down and think about deeper questions at the following. For example, which products actually generate profit, when are the busiest and quietest times, and what additional costs will arise if we open the shop longer. So let's look into each of these questions in detail one by one. So first question, which products generate more profit? So the coffee shop tend to provide multiple products, for example, coffee, sandwiches, pastries, other soft drinks, etc. So these different products may have different profit patterns. For example, coffee may be able to generate higher profits while others may not. For example, sandwiches may and pastries may have lower profit margins. Suppose the customers in the evening are more likely to buy those products with lower profit margins, such as pastries or sandwiches. So even if we open longer time, the revenue will increase. However, the profits may not, because the products sold out in the evening may be those with lower profits, and we won't have higher profits from those products. Second question is, when are busy and quiet times? So mornings can be extremely busy due to those commuters. However, the afternoons may be quieter, and evenings may be quieter still or even more. So such activity patterns across different times may also matter for a coffee shop profitability. And the last question is, what additional costs will arise due to longer opening hours? So for example, the staff salaries, electricity bills, or unsold food, all of these may increase due to longer opening hours. And if the additional costs outweigh the additional revenue, we may have lower profits as well. So all of this lead us to a key insight of accounting. Accounting reveals the reality behind the appearances. So in this case, the appearance is that we will have higher revenue, but the reality is that the profit depends both on the revenue and the costs. So if we neglect the cost, we may get the incorrect conclusion that we will have higher profits. But if we take everything into consideration, including the cost, the activity patterns, the profitability pattern of different products, we may find that even if we have higher revenue, we won't have higher profits. So instead of asking, should we open for longer hours, we learn to ask from accounting, will opening longer hours actually improve profitability? And in this case, case, we know that accounting doesn't simply record information, and based on the recorded information, we can know the specific operational cycles of our business, of a specific coffee shop, and accounting can fundamentally change how decisions are made based on the recorded information. So that's a basic overview on the role of the accounting in our business and everyday life in the decision making. Then let's move on to the finance perspective. Finance focuses more on the uncertainty, risks, and the trade-offs over time. So we have another example for the finance and uncertainty. Suppose you arrive in Bristol and you need a bicycle for your commute, and now you have two options. Option A, you can rent a bicycle for £30 per month, and option B, you can choose to buy a bicycle for £300. And which option would you choose? Actually, there is no single correct answer because the decision will depend on a lot of uncertainties, and this is why we need finance, why finance can matter in this decision making. So the uncertainties around this decision are related to the following three aspects. The first one is related to time horizon. How long would you stay in Bristol? So if you are here for only 3 months, maybe renting a bicycle every month for 3 months would be cheaper. So renting for 3 months only costs £90, which is much lower than purchasing a bicycle for £300. However, if you will be stay here for 2 years, then purchasing a new one would be better. So purchasing at £300 would be much lower than renting for 2 years. So that's the first consideration related to your time horizon. Then the second one would be related risks of your options. So if you choose to purchase a new bicycle, there could be some risks that your bicycle would be stolen in the future, and you have to evaluate how probable that your bicycle would be stolen. And also, your routine could change. You may have other options for your commute. You can work, you can take the bus, or you can commute by train or subway, etc. And also, you might move to another city during your stay, and then you won't need a bicycle anymore. So the last uncertainty is related to the opportunity cost. This is a very typical finance term, finance definition, and this refers to something you gave up if you choose one option over another. And in this case, if you choose to use £300 to buy a new bicycle, which means you cannot use this money for any other purposes, for example, for buying food, for renting a flat, or for traveling around. So this depends on your preferences across these different options, whether you would like to buy the new bicycle with the £300 or whether you want to use the money for any other purposes. So this gives us some insights on the role of finance. Finance helps us be aware of the existence of the uncertainties, and the finance cannot eliminate the uncertainties. It is not about the predicting the future perfectly, but it helps us be aware of the existence of these factors. So finance teaches us to weigh the risks, to consider the alternatives and evaluate trade-offs over time. And this way of thinking applies to not only in this case, but also to our investments, company strategy, personal finance, and any other countless decisions in our daily life. So to bring everything together, accounting helps us understand the present, and finance helps us to consider the future. And as you will start your MSc journey with us, you will learn about the skills and the following ability about analytical thinking, the ability to interpret information, the confidence to evaluate uncertainty, and the skill to make informed decisions. All of these abilities would be valuable in your daily life and in your career in the future. Also, before any big decisions, what's one question you should ask before is what kind of historical data you should look for and what are the related risks and uncertainties behind these decisions.